The breaking point, the Korathian. Music empire had ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years. Their massive warships patrolled every major trade route. Their governors controlled every profitable world, and their laws decided which species lived in comfort and which survived on scraps. Emperor Zarn Thor sat on a throne built from the metals of 100 conquered worlds, and no one dared to question his authority. The Empire called it the Great Peace, but everyone knew the truth. It was not peace, it was submission. Earth had joined the galactic community 50 years ago. Humanity's first contact with aliens had been filled with hope and excitement. People danced in the streets when the Korathian ships arrived. They imagined friendships, shared knowledge, and a bright future among the stars. That hope died quickly. The Korathians looked at humanity and saw another species to control. They offered Earth a choice: join the Empire or be destroyed. Earth chose survival. For 50 years, humanity played the role of weak newcomers. They paid heavy taxes to the Empire. They accepted insults from alien diplomats. They bought outdated technology at inflated prices and thanked the Korathians for their generosity. Human colonies spread slowly through space, always staying in systems the Empire considered worthless. Earth's military seemed small and pathetic, using old weapons and slow ships. The Korathians laughed at them. Other species pitied them. No one suspected the truth. Ambassador Elena Vasquez had served at the Imperial Assembly for 7 years. She had learned to keep her face neutral when alien delegates mocked her species. She had mastered the art of bowing just low enough to avoid punishment, but not so low that she lost all dignity. She represented humanity in a chamber where 40 different species gathered, and she did her job with quiet patience. Today, that patience would end. The emergency message reached Elena during a routine session about mining rights. Her tablet vibrated 3 times, the signal for urgent news from Earth Command. She glanced at the screen and felt her blood turn to ice. Sanctuary Station had been attacked. The orbital facility housed 300 children from human colonies across the outer rim. Families sent their kids there for education and safety while they worked in the dangerous mining operations below. The station had schools, gardens, and play areas. It had been a place of laughter and learning. Now it was debris floating in the void of space. A Korathian battle cruiser had fired on the station without warning. The commander claimed he detected suspicious energy signatures and acted to protect Imperial interests. 240 children died instantly when the missiles hit. Another 60 perished when life support failed. The survivors, barely 20 children, had been rescued by a passing merchant ship. Elena stared at the images on her tablet. Small bodies floating among the wreckage, toys and books scattered across kilometers of space. A teddy bear with one eye still clutching a child's blanket. She stood up in the middle of Emperor Zarn Thor's speech about trade regulations. The massive reptilian ruler stopped mid-sentence, his yellow eyes fixed on her with cold amusement. The entire assembly turned to look. 40 species, hundreds of delegates, all watching the human who dared to interrupt. Your Majesty, Elena's voice carried across the vast chamber, I must address in urgent matter. A Korathian warship has destroyed Sanctuary Station. 300 human children are dead. Silence filled the Room, some delegates looked surprised. Others looked away, a few nodded. Slightly as if they had expected something like this eventually. Elena realized with growing horror that this had happened before to other species. The difference was that those species had learned to stay quiet about it. Emperor Zarnthar's expression did not change. Commander Vexar reported suspicious activity in that sector. He acted appropriately to defend Imperial security if human civilians were present in a potentially hostile area. The responsibility lies with Earth. They were children, Elena said, her voice shook with rage. 300 children in a registered education facility. Your commander fired without even attempting communication. The Empire does not explain its military decisions to junior species, Zarnthar replied. His tone suggested boredom. If Earth wishes to file a formal complaint, the appropriate forms are available in the administration wing. This assembly has more important matters to discuss. Elena looked around the chamber. She searched for support, for outrage, for anything that suggested someone cared. She saw nothing. These delegates had survived in the Empire by knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Speaking out against Korathian atrocities was suicide. Species that complained too loudly found their worlds blockaded or their ships mysteriously disappearing. Everyone had learned the same lesson. Accept injustice or face destruction. Earth will not accept this, Elena said quietly. We will not forget. You will accept what the Empire allows, Zarnthar said. His voice carried a hint of warning. Now, your species has been part of this galaxy for barely 50 years. You are children playing at politics. Learn your place. Ambassador or Earth will learn it for you. Elena walked out of the chamber. Behind her, the assembly continued as if nothing had happened. She did not look back. Her hands had stopped shaking. Something cold and hard had settled in her chest, something that felt like justice waiting to be born. Across the galaxy, Admiral Marcus Chen stood in a facility that did not officially exist, deep beneath the Martian surface, hidden from every scanner and satellite. Earth's true military command coordinated operations that the Korathian Empire knew nothing about. Marcus was 68 years old. He had spent 40 years preparing for a war he hoped would never come. Today that hope died. The message from Earth Security Council arrived encrypted with protocols established 5 decades ago. Marcus read it 3 times, making sure he understood. Then he walked to a vault at the facility's core. His biometric data opened multiple locks. Inside sat a data chip marked Operation Nightfall. He had looked at this chip every day for 15 years, wondering if he would ever use it. Now he knew. Marcus inserted the chip into his command console. Across human space, hidden receivers activated. Messages went out to every secret base, every concealed shipyard, every officer who had spent years pretending to be a civilian. The messages were simple and clear. Report for duty immediately. The war has begun. 500 warships powered up their reactors for the first time in years. They had been hidden in asteroid fields, camouflaged as mining stations, buried in the rings of gas giants. The Korathians had watched Earth build 50 old, slow patrol ships and assumed that was humanity's entire fleet. They were wrong. While playing weak, humanity had built an armada designed for one Purpose: killing Corinthian warships. Marcus opened a channel to all fleet commanders. His voice reached captains who had been waiting half their lives for this moment. This is Admiral Chin. The Corinthians have murdered 300 human children. They call it acceptable losses. They expect us to file paperwork and forget. They believe we are weak because we chose to appear weak. They are about to learn the difference between patience and powerlessness. He paused, letting his words sink in across. Hundreds of ships. For 50 years we have prepared for this day. We built these ships in secret. We trained in the shadows. We let them think we were harmless while we became the most dangerous military force this galaxy has ever seen. Today we stop pretending. Today the Corinthians pay for every insult, every injustice, and every child they killed. Target the 7th Armada. Jump in 18 hours. Make them remember why you never attack humanity's children. On Earth, people gathered in cities and towns. They watched news broadcasts showing sanctuary stations' destruction. They saw pictures of 300 children who would never grow up. There were no calls for restraint or peace negotiations. Humanity had been patient for 50 years. They had endured mockery and exploitation. They had played weak while growing strong. That act was over. Orbit above Earth, the first battle. Group of humanity's ghost fleet assembled. Sleek destroyers formed up alongside massive carriers. Frigates took position around command cruisers. Every ship bore fresh paint and charged weapons. Their crews consisted of soldiers who had maintained their skills in secret, running civilian jobs while staying ready for war. Now that war had arrived and they were eager to begin. The Corinthian Empire had ruled for 2,000 years. They had crushed rebellions, destroyed resistance movements, and taught the galaxy to fear them, but they had never faced humanity at war. They had never encountered a species that could hide its true strength for half a century, building an arsenal in absolute secrecy while appearing helpless. They were about to learn a terrible lesson. Humanity does not start wars lightly, but when they do, they finish them completely. 18 hours until the fleet jumped to the 7th Armada's coordinates. 18 hours until the galaxy learned what happened when you killed human children. The great peace was about to end, and it would end in fire. The reckoning. Commander Velcro lounged in his command chair aboard the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominion. The Corinthian 7th Armada patrolled the Zeta Corridor with lazy confidence. 120 warships, each one a masterpiece of Imperial engineering, each one capable of reducing a planet to ash. Velcro's had commanded this fleet for 30 years. In all that time, he had never faced a real threat. Most species surrendered at the mere sight of his armada. The few foolish enough to resist died quickly. His second officer approached with a data tablet. Commander, we have received a formal complaint from Earth regarding the Sanctuary Station incident. They are demanding reparations and a full investigation. Velcro's laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the bridge. Humans and their complaints. What do they plan to do? Send a strongly worded messages. The bridge crew joined his laughter. The idea of humanity posing any threat was absurd. Their entire fleet consisted of 50 aging patrol ships that could barely manage in system security. The 7th Armada alone could conquer Earth in an afternoon. Shall I file the standard Dismissal response, the second officer. Asked, do not bother, Velcro said. Let them complain, perhaps if they annoy us enough, we will accidentally destroy another one of their stations. More laughter filled the bridge. This was the attitude that came from 2,000 years of unchallenged power. The Korathians had forgotten what it felt like to face an actual enemy. The sensor officer station suddenly erupted with alarms, every screen filled with red warning indicators. Commander, multiple contacts, unknown vessels emerging from hyperspace. Velcro sat up straight. How many? The sensor officer's voice cracked with disbelief. 500 ships, sir, all armed, all targeting us. They just appeared at maximum weapons range. Impossible. Velcro stared at the tactical display. The screen showed his 120 ships surrounded by a massive human fleet, but humans did not have 500 warships. Intelligence reports confirmed they barely had 50, yet there they were, spread across three-dimensional space in a perfect attack formation. Each ship broadcast a transponder signal, identifying it as part of Earth's defense force. Each one had weapons locked and ready. This must be a mistake, Velcro said. Scan those vessels, confirm their identity. Scans confirmed. Commander, they are human ships, design unknown. Energy signatures are massive, far beyond anything in our database for human technology, sir. Their weapons are charging for the first time in 3 decades. Velcro's felt something he had not experienced since he was a young officer. Fear, open communications, all frequencies. Then we are an Imperial fleet operating under the authority of Emperor Zarnthar. Any attack on us is an act of war. The communication officer worked frantically. Channel open, sir. A human voice responded, cold and precise. This is Admiral Marcus Chin of the Earth Defense Force. We are aware of who you are, Commander Velcross. Your fleet includes the battle cruiser Crimson Fong, commanded by Captain Vexfler. Captain Vexfler gave the order to destroy Sanctuary Station. 300 human children died following that order. You are all complicit. Velcro's found his voice. That was a legitimate military action. If you attack us, the entire Empire will crush Earth like an insect. The Empire is welcome to try, Admiral Chin replied, but first you answer for the children. There will be no warnings. There will be no surrender. There will be no mercy. You killed our young. Now you face the consequences. The first human rail gun fired before Velcro's could respond. A solid projectile, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, crossed 15,000 km in 3 seconds. It punched through the shields of the cruiser Dawnbreaker like they were paper. The round continued through the ship's hull, through the reactor core, and out the other side. Dawnbreaker exploded, a brilliant flash that lit up the darkness of space. 700 Korathian crew died instantly. Then all 500 human ships opened fire at once. Space became a storm of destruction. Rail gun projectiles streaked across the void, each one carrying enough kinetic energy to shatter a city. Missiles launched in swarms, their guidance systems locked onto Korathian vessels. Energy weapons, technology the Empire did not know humans possessed, lanced through the darkness. The human fleet moved with impossible coordination, each ship knowing exactly where every other ship would be 3 seconds before they arrived. Velcro screamed, orders, return fire. All ships engage, activate defensive Formations. The 7th Armada tried to respond. 120 warships that had terrorized the galaxy for decades unleashed their weapons, energy cannons, fired missile batteries launched their payloads, point defense systems came online. For a brief moment Velcro allowed himself hope. The Corythians had superior numbers in individual ship mass. Their weapons had won 1,000 battle. Surely they could defeat these upstart humans. That hope died as he watched human ships dance through the incoming fire. They moved like nothing he had ever seen, flowing around energy beams as if they could predict every shot. Their electronic warfare systems jammed Corythian targeting computers. Their point defense network swatted missiles from space with contemptuous ease, and their own weapons never stopped firing, never missed, never showed mercy. Captain Lyra Santos commanded the human destroyer Retribution. She had spent the last 12 years as a kindergarten teacher on Luna, reading stories to children and teaching them to read. Before that she had graduated top of her class from Earth's secret naval academy. She had trained in simulators that replicated Corythi tactics. She had studied every battle the Empire had fought for 2 centuries. She had waited for this day with patience born of absolute certainty it would come. Target that battleship, Lyra ordered her tactical officer, a man named James, who had been working as an accountant, highlighted the Corythian vessel hunting pack formation. Coordinate with vengeance, justice, and fury for human destroyers moved as one unit. Their artificial intelligence system shared data faster than any biological crew could process. They attacked from 4 different vectors, forcing the Corythian battleship to split its defensive fire. James locked firing solutions while their weapons officer, a woman named Sarah who had spent 10 years as a nurse, prepared the rail guns. Firing, Sarah said calmly. All 4 destroyers fired simultaneously. 16 rail gun rounds converged on the battleship's command section. The ship's shields held for perhaps half a second before collapsing. The projectiles tore through armor plating that was supposed to withstand anything. They punched into the ship's bridge, killing everyone inside, then continued through to the reactor spaces. The battleship, a vessel that had served the Empire for 8 decades, exploded. Debris scattered across thousands of kilometers. Lyra felt no satisfaction, only grim purpose. Next target, keep moving. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated hundreds of times. Human ships hunted in coordinated packs, their captains, people who had lived normal civilian lives while secretly maintaining combat readiness, executed maneuvers with flawless precision. The Corythian 7th Armada, pride of the Empire, died ship by ship on sanctuary stations. Ruins are what remained in stable orbit. Jennifer Morrison held the hand of a small boy named Thomas. He was 6 years old. He had survived because he had been in the bathroom when the missiles hit. His sister, his best friend, and his teacher had all died. Jennifer had been the station's administrator. She had welcomed families and watched children grow. Now she cradled survivors and made promises she did not know if anyone could keep. Will the bad ships come back? Thomas asked. His voice was tiny, broken. No, Jennifer said firmly. Never again, I promise. She meant it. News had reached the survivors about the fleet mobilization. Earth had not filed complaints or begged for mercy. Earth had gone to war. Jennifer knew enough about military matters to understand what that meant. Humanity had been hiding something massive, and now that secret was unleashed. The Korathians thought they had attacked a helpless target. They had instead kicked a sleeping predator. Commander Velcross watched his fleet die, 40 ships gone in the first 10 minutes, 60 more damaged, and falling out of formation. His own flagship shuddered as human weapons hammered against shields that were failing faster than they could recharge. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically, but Velcros could see the truth in their eyes. They were going to lose. The mighty 7th Armada, undefeated for 3 decades, was being systematically destroyed. All ships retreat, Velcro ordered. Jump to hyperspace. We must warn the Empire. Ships tried to flee. They powered up their jump drives desperately, calculating escape vectors, but human ships were faster, more agile, and utterly relentless. Every Korathian vessel that tried to jump found human destroyers already in position. Rail gun fired, disabled jump drives, missiles crippled engines. The trap was perfect. The humans had planned this down to the smallest detail. One battleship, Eternal Glory, managed to charge its jump drive completely. The ship began transitioning to hyperspace, reality bending around its hull. 3 human frigates fired at the exact moment of transition. Their weapons caught the ship between dimensions. The resulting explosion tore a hole in space itself, a brief wound in reality that swallowed 2 nearby Korathian cruisers before collapsing. No escape. Admiral Chen's voice broadcast on all frequencies. You came to human space. You killed our children. You thought we were weak because we appeared weak. You thought we would accept this, like every other species has accepted your brutality. You were wrong. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget, and humanity does not lose. Velcros felt true terror for the first time in his life. The Empire had ruled for 2,000 years through strength and fear. They had never encountered resistance like this. Species either submitted immediately or died quickly. Humans had submitted for 50 years, and Velcros realized now that submission had been a lie, trap, a way to learn Korathian tactics while building weapons in secret. The battle lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, the Korathian 7th Armada no longer existed. 120 warships reduced to debris and radiation. 70,000 Korathian military personnel dead. The human fleet suffered 12 ships damaged and 3 destroyed. 800 human casualties total. The mathematics of the battle were brutal and clear. Humanity had not just won. They had dominated. Admiral Chen sat in his command center and watched the battle reports. He felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. Broadcast a message. All frequencies. Make sure every species in the galaxy hears it. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. This is Admiral Marcus Chen of Earth Defense Force. Today the Korathian Empire murdered 300 human children. Today we responded by destroying their 7th Armada. This is not revenge. This is justice. The Empire ruled for 2,000 years through terror. They believed no one would stand against them. They were wrong. He paused, letting his words carry across light years. Earth gave the Empire 50 years to learn peace. We paid their taxes. We endured their insults. We appeared weak. While we grew strong, we hoped they would change. They did not. Today that hope ends. Today the Empire learns a new truth. Humanity protects its own. Attack our children and we will end you. No warnings, no mercy, no survivors. The message reached every corner of the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds subjugated. Species heard it and felt something they had not felt in centuries: hope. Korathians were not invincible. Someone had finally stood against them. Someone had won. In his throne room, Emperor Zarnthar received the news. His military advisors stood silent, afraid to speak. The 7th Armada gone, destroyed by species they had dismissed as harmless. Zarnthar felt something cold settle his chest. Fear. For the first time in 2,000 years, the Korathian Empire was afraid. How many ships do the humans have? He asked quietly. We estimate 500 combat vessels, Your Majesty, all with technology beyond our current understanding. Our intelligence failed completely. Zarnthar stood around him. 3 fortress worlds had already fallen to human attacks, garrisons that had held for centuries taken in single nights. Other species were rising in rebellion, encouraged by humanity's example. The Great Peace was shattering, and it was breaking along every crack the Empire had created through cruelty and oppression. Prepare the Imperial fleet, Zarnthar ordered. All 5,000 ships. We crush Earth before this spreads further. But even as he gave the order, he wondered if it was already too late. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this war. They had played weak while building weapons that could destroy his armada. What else had they prepared? What other secrets were waiting? Across the galaxy, humanity's message echoed. We protect our own. Balance of power had shifted in a single night. The 2,000-year peace was over, and a new era had begun. An era where humanity would not bow, would not submit, and would never forgive those who harmed their children. The war had only just started, but everyone knew one truth: the galaxy would never be the same.